We always had teamwork and respect as a value, but things like collaboration, innovation, integrity have now been so widely embraced by the firm. And seeing those concepts come to life across the firm has been incredible and just so rewarding to know that was an idea I had. And now 1,700 people are embracing that in their daily lives.
Hi, I'm Belden Menkus. Welcome to the Purposeful Strategist, the podcast that shifts the conversation about purpose and strategy from what organizations should do to what business leaders are doing and what they've learned along the way. My guest today is Sarah Walton, Managing Partner of Weightmans LLP, one of the UK's leading national law firms. Sarah's been with the firm for more than 2 decades, and since stepping into the managing partner role, she's been guiding Weightmans through a period of growth, innovation, and cultural change. A lot's been happening in the legal sector, from shifting client expectations, the constant challenge of attracting and retaining the best talent, and rapid advances in AI. Regular listeners will know we've been conducting a research project looking into how law firms, including Weightmans, are approaching decision-making regarding AI. In addition to perhaps talking about AI, I'm hoping Sarah will share how she's navigating the balance between continuity and change, heritage and innovation, and what it means to lead a law firm with purpose in today's fast-moving environment. Sarah, welcome to the Purposeful Strategist.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Just to kind of get us into it, I wonder if you could sort of paint a picture for us of Weightmans today.
Yeah, sure. So Weightmans were a predominantly UK law firm, but with a really strong national and also international presence and reach. So we've got about 1,700 colleagues spread across 10 offices here in the UK. And we've also got some colleagues based in the US as well. And we're really proud to be recognised as one of the country's leading firms. We're in the top 50 of the UK ranked firms here. So our mission is to become a top 30 law firm, and I think we're at 46 at the minute. But more than that, our purpose is to see the possibility predominantly for our clients and for our people. And to get us there, we've got 4 key strategic priorities: culture and people, brand and market positioning, technology and operational excellence. And then for me, culture and people is the most important, because as a professional services firm dealing with our clients, our people are everything. And our culture, very much linked to our purpose, is what sets us apart. And it's the heart of who we are and what we stand for. So that's Weightmans.
I'm just curious about the US sort of toehold. That sounds like that's been there for a while. What does that footprint in the US look like?
So we've only been in the US probably for just over a year. And that's predominantly our unique cyber offering, CyExcel. So under the umbrella of legal professional privilege, which is a USP for us, we offer the whole aim of cyber services. So not just legal, we offer consultancy, digital forensics, incident response, geopolitical advice, supply chain. And we had clients that said, look, if you come to the US and do that, we'd love to work with you. So our teams in the US are doing kind of digital forensic, incident response, virtual CISO work. They're not lawyers in the US, so that's a new offering we've got as part of our CyExcel cyber offering.
That's really interesting. So it sounds like that was very much sort of client-led, the entry into the US, not necessarily the offering itself.
Definitely. So I think, international is very much now on our agenda, but it absolutely has to come from the clients. It has to be client-led. It has to be client-driven. It's not just about, picking random countries and deciding to operate. It's our clients saying to us, come and we will send you work. And that's very much our approach when we're looking at other countries, not just in the US.
How did this offering come about? Because it sounds like, as you described it here, fairly stress-free. But I know many law firms that like to get involved in things that are not just law, but they sometimes struggle to bring that into existence. So how did that come about?
I think the idea originally came about probably 5 years or so ago, and then it was much more of a collaboration, strategic partnerships. So we would provide the legal services, and then we would, subcontract and work with other entities to provide things like the consulting advice or the digital forensics. And then we decided, let's try and bring that all under one roof. Nobody else is doing that in the UK. Nobody else has got that integrated offering. And it's a one-stop shop for the clients. So whether they're thinking proactively, how do they make sure they're resilient, or unfortunately reactively when there's been an attack, how do they know that they've just got that one call to make where everything is under one roof? And as I say, the USP for us is that because we're a law firm, it's done under legal privilege. And it's, something we look at in other areas, things like ESG as well, where we're going, actually, where can we maybe diversify into complementary services that align themselves with what we're really good at, which is, of course, the law.
Just for anybody who maybe doesn't fully understand what legal privilege means and how that makes a difference when you're doing things that aren't strictly legal services, just if you don't mind, walk me through what that is, what it means, and how it makes a difference.
Yeah, so it's just that very special relationship between a law firm and their clients, and the advice, we can really candidly, proactively, pragmatically give to our clients, really good advice that they can lean into that then helps protect if ultimately it comes out into litigation or becomes into a contentious matter. And clearly you can only do that in a law firm. You can't do that in an accountancy practice or in a consulting business. So it's an umbrella of additional protection that we can give our clients that you can't do if you're not in a law firm. It gives your clients that kind of added layer of protection, of comfort, of trust. Fundamentally, lawyers are very much the trusted advisors of their clients. So it adds into that whole layer of, us as predominantly a law firm being a real trusted advisor to the clients.
You've been with Weightmans for over 20 years. You're leading the firm as the managing partner. What was most surprising to you about stepping into that role?
The managing partner process at Weightmans kind of opened up last May, so kind of 18 months ago, and opened up to the equity partners. It was a contested process. And so I guess the surprising for me is the ideas that was sketching out in my home office kind of last summer, a year ago, things like our new values. So we always had teamwork and respect as a value, but things like collaboration, innovation, integrity have now been so widely embraced by the firm, and seeing those concepts come to life across the firm has been incredible and just so rewarding to know that was an idea I had, and now 1,700 people are embracing that in their daily lives. And also I think the energy in the firm has shifted in a way that I hoped would happen with a change in leadership, but I probably didn't expect. There's a real buzz around things like evolving our culture, evolving us so we become kind of more high performance. So we think, let's not just be good, let's be great, and really driving those strategic priorities forward. And I guess I've just been struck at how positively people have responded to my style of management. I'm a really collaborative management. That's my leadership style. Really, all of that has been really affirming for me, really reassuring, and just really quite energizing. The last thing that I found surprising is, being a good leader, you can't be involved in everything. The whole business would grind to a halt if we did. So it always surprises me the number of things that I don't get involved in, which is a learning curve in itself for someone like me who's used to rolling up her sleeves and getting involved. You've got to have that really strong team around you. So yeah, there's lots of surprises every day.
And it sounds like, luckily, they've been very positive ones.
They have, as I say, things like the values, so particularly integrity. We're lawyers, it's part of our core, but actually kind of enshrining that as a value within our organisation has really been embraced, and not just by our organisation, but people like the regulators, our insurers, our brokers, just in a way that I probably wasn't expecting a year ago in my office at home when I was thinking about all these things. So.
Yeah. As we've discussed, Weightmans is one of the UK's leading firms, and you want to be growing. What does growth look like for you? Is it more offices? Is it more services like this cyber one? Is it deeper relationships with your current clients? Where are you looking for growth from?
And for me, growth, it isn't just about size or reach. I've always personally had a real growth mindset. Personally, I love change, and I'm constantly encouraging our people to step outside of their comfort zones, because that's obviously where the real growth happens, isn't it? Personally and professionally, when you do something that's a bit difficult, a bit uncomfortable. Growth in revenue and profit is obviously essential. We're really ambitious as an organisation. We want to keep growing. We want to keep moving forward. We're firmly of the belief that being in the middle isn't good. So we want to keep growing revenue, profit. If you grow as a firm in terms of size, you've then got more clients, you've got more strength in depth, you've got greater credibility, capability, capacity. You've got more brands on the cap stats. So we've got this mission to be a top 30 law firm. And that is all about ambition, making sure we keep growing, making sure we don't rest on our laurels. It definitely means expanding our reach. So we've recently opened in Nottingham, the office on the 1st of September, really strengthening our Midlands practice. So we had offices in Leicester and Birmingham already. But as I've already touched on, we're also thinking internationally. And if we're serious about our top 30 mission, then we have to think beyond the UK. So I think of the top 30 law firms, all of them bar one is international. Panel work is going global. Technology shrinking the world. And, the UK, we're a small island, aren't we? So we cut our eyes off to so many opportunities if we confine ourselves to UK only growth. And that's why when we looked at it last year, nearly £10 million of international work, about 500 clients, 80 countries. And that's just something we'd never really shouted about before. So definitely size is part of it, but it's also about expanding our geography where it makes strategic sense, staying true to our values, staying ambitious and not resting on our laurels at all.
Given that you're in the US and it sounds like it's going well, are you thinking of the US as like, great, we've got a toehold there, we've got clients who are inviting us in, let's expand there? Or are you thinking, no, that's great, that was a particular situation and we'll see how it goes, but there are other geographies that we're more interested in right now?
Yeah, so our strategy thinking internationally has only really been in the last 6 months. And so during that time, we've really taken that step back and said, right, what's the data telling us? What international work are we doing? Which jurisdictions are we serving? I've just said we're working with clients in over 80 countries, right? Which of those are we doing a lot of work in? And maybe not just for one client, because that will distort the data. And where are our clients saying to us, come and we want to work with you? So the starting point is we're setting up international desks to, again, really start to channel the strategic partnerships we've got with other law firms in these jurisdictions. Just really trying to channel it now and focus and prioritize in a way we haven't done before.
For me, one of the things that, seems like it's going to bode well for what you're doing is this idea of being relentlessly focused on where are our clients asking for us, not, oh, there's a big market there, let's get into that.
Oh, God, definitely. Yeah, because the big markets, that's obviously where there's a huge opportunity, but often they're the hardest markets to crack, aren't they? Without huge investment.
You talked a little bit about how the purpose came about, but I wonder if you could kind of take us into in a bit more detail in terms of who got involved and what was the process and how long did it take? And
yeah, so it actually started back in 2019. So we were reflecting on how we could better articulate what Weightmans is all about, both internally and externally. And we'd never quite found a way to encapsulate all the good things about the firm into a clear message or a purpose. And we felt that missing piece was making it harder for people to really get us, and the why Weightmans, well, what's our why? And so as we began this project back in 2019, the strategy, we were really clear about three things. Firstly, wherever we landed, it had to be really authentic. It had to feel like the beating heart of Weightmans. Secondly, it needed to be that golden thread that ran through everything that we do, both from our internal culture to how we show up in the market. And thirdly, it had to give us some differentiation in what is frankly a very crowded legal space where it is very difficult to differentiate yourself. Everyone does great legal services. So having started the project in 2019, we obviously hit COVID. And so like many things then, the whole project around our purpose had to be put on pause. So we then picked that back up 2022, spent a lot of time listening to people across the firm. So a lot of consultation, a lot of strategic workshop groups, focus groups. And what emerged out of all of that was see the possibility, which is our purpose. And it resonated because it wasn't just an ambition, but it was a behaviour. And it already felt really true in Weightmans. We've always been ambitious. We've always encouraged people to have great blue sky ideas. We're not very good at saying no because we want people to pursue their dreams and their ideas. And so since then, it's had a huge impact. So we launched it internally, but we knew it would really gain traction when we launched it externally. And that's ultimately then why our purpose, see the possibility, has now become synonymous with our brand. And then we decided to do some videos, which again really showed our culture and our people, because the videos, they're all centered around our people. And again, when the whole, what do you say about Weightmans when they're not in the room? Our brand is far more than the teal wavy logo. Our brand is what people say about us. And so See the Possibility started off as our purpose, started off as that beating heart. It's now become synonymous with our brand, and now why we have a very purpose-led, people-centered brand. And that was the most powerful thing about it all, about how our people really embraced it. Because we know the hardest thing with anything, isn't it, is to get something embedded. And it's a bit like the top 30 mission. See the Possibility is truly embedded within our firm. It's not me from the top saying, See the Possibility on everything. It happens naturally. People just put it on their social media posts and on their PowerPoints. So now it's just part of who we are, which I don't think you could want more from a purpose, really, could you?
It's a really inspiring story. I wonder if I could just ask for a little bit more detail about, because it's almost one of those things. It's like, and then we knew what it was. Did you use outside support from an agency? Was it a task force internally that was driving it? Did you survey people?
Yes. So this predates my time as managing partner. So I'm quite sure we will have used some consultants because it was such a big project. So there were members of the board and the equity partnership who were on project focus groups, senior leadership involved in the focus groups to kind of get to a landing, kicking about, what is our why? And then having landed on the idea, then absolutely they will have then run more focus groups within the organization to kind of go, are we really onto something here? Have we really captured the essence of where we want to be? But I don't think anybody realized actually how much it would be just embraced by our people and how it now lands in social media and conversations and how the teams work. The project itself was a couple of years to actually get to See the Possibility, but then actually going internal and then truly external is then what's really just kicked it on.
That sounds to me like a really great example as you've talked it through of, sort of the maxim of go slow to go fast.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
That it took a while.
It took a while to come up with it, yeah. But then once it went.
How do you see that purpose shaping any of your strategic choices? Does it influence the sectors you invest in or the way you work with clients, or even the kind of clients you're most interested in serving? Or is it kind of, actually part of the whole idea is to see the possibility. It's a more unconstrained set of choices.
So it isn't just a slogan. And if it was just a slogan and something we said, our people would have fallen out of love with it very quickly and wouldn't have it all over their social media daily. So it's definitely a lens through which we make strategic decisions. Combined with our mission, the two together, the mission and the purpose, really challenges us all the time from board level down to think bigger, to act bolder, to be curious. And that mindset then influences everything we do, from the sectors that we invest in to products that we maybe develop and our relationships with our clients. So things like Nottingham, that was very much kind of let's see the possibility, because we're really drawn to sectors where we can make a real impact, like things like private client and owner managed businesses. They're very relationship driven. It's not procurement. It's all about people buying people. And so sectors like that really central to our growth strategy. And so definitely things like opening the Nottingham office, that's very much let's see the possibility. Let's see what we can do. What's the worst that can happen? And again, so things like internationally. So we've said if we're serious about this top 30 mission, we've got to start thinking about international. And so again, you can't just say, see the possibility and then put it in a box. If we truly mean this and it truly is our purpose, we've got to think beyond our borders. We can't confine ourselves only to UK growth because, panels are shrinking, they're going global, technology is making the world smaller. So that purpose, it's front and centre so that we don't close our minds off. And I guess that's where things like the cyber offering has come from, that we kind of, again, went, let's maybe do this differently, let's grab that opportunity. I guess sometimes it can be, do we see too many opportunities and does that then impact the focus and priority that you need? So sometimes we do have to rein it back because you can't do everything. You've got to have that focus and priority. But I think you've got to be a bit blue sky, open yourself up to the opportunities that there are, pilot a few things, experiment with a few things, and then you can trim it back, can't you? When you kind of go, that has worked, that hasn't worked. And I think with things like AI and Gen AI, things like, I don't know, with decarbonisation or, just with things happening in the world, law firms can't just do what they've always done in the way they've always done it. So see the possibility encourages us to have that blue sky mindset, pilot it, experiment it. And if it doesn't work, well, we tried it and we stopped. So, and I think also with our clients, again, it just means that we're not just solving the straight kind of legal problems. We all know, don't we? Clients see their lawyers as their trusted advisors, and, the world's a bit of a volatile place at the minute, and they turn to you as their trusted advisor in times of volatility. So it means as well, maybe thinking out of the box, being really collaborative, so that the clients see collaborative teams, and not just collaborative teams of lawyers, but what's our products and innovation team doing, or what are our ESG advisors doing? And again, see the possibilities, our purpose. We always look for what's possible, not just what's expected. So yeah, it just keeps us honest and helps us with our decision making and just how we show up to things, really.
If I could probe into one element of that, which is AI, and as you perhaps know, we've been doing this research on AI, and one of the things we've been seeing is a lot of people, a lot of firms want something new, but the way they're going at it, often what they're ending up with is efficiency. And I'm just wondering, in this sort of see the possibility mindset, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah. So, and there's different things, aren't there? So you've got AI, which law firms have been using for maybe 10 years now. And that is about efficiency and process and tech. With Gen AI, it's how it's changing and evolving. It's just evolving all the time. I use it daily. For us, a lot of it is about the innovative products and things that we work with our clients on. So AI and Gen AI, they will absolutely bring efficiency of time, freeing us up to do other things, efficiency of process, meaning that it's standardization, it's customization, it's repeatable, scalable. But for me, the interesting bit is around genuinely the products and innovation, and how can we work with our clients to devise things that don't make us as lawyers more efficient, but actually help the client. So like we've got things like, we have a product called Transport Manager Comply, really helping, and we've worked on that with the clients to say, how can we help you be more efficient? How can we help you do your jobs better? So it's not about the lawyers being more efficient, it's how can we help the clients? And this is where with a lot of those innovative products, we very much want to reach an idea with the client and then pilot it and experiment with a client. What does the customer want? What does the client want? How can we drive a pilot experiment with them to devise something that they'll get real benefit from? There's plenty of clients don't want us using Gen AI. And then that impacts what you can do within your organization. So you've got to be agile as a law firm and open to all of this because it's changing daily, weekly.
You mentioned a particular product. To be honest, I didn't quite catch what you called it, but it was something to do with Transport Comply. What?
Yeah, Transport Manager Comply.
Who's that for and what does it do?
Yeah, so it's for clients that have got large fleets of trucks and vans. They have a lot of regulation that they have to comply with in respect of that fleet. Make sure it's compliant with the raft of regulation. Because ultimately, if they're not compliant, it's a criminal offence, which goes right up to the C-suite. So, if Weightmans had a fleet and it wasn't compliant with the transport regs, it's criminal liability for me right at the top. So it's just a tool that we devise with the clients, talking them through the regulation, helping them check their vehicles against this backdrop, gives them a, on track, off track. But it's that real life product. So again, we devise that with a client. We piloted it, we experimented with them. It's very much client led. It was solving a problem that they had. We're making, black letter law and regulation, helping just make it tangible, real, practical for the client, but in a way that they saw real value. Because if they get it wrong, it can be criminal liability. So it's always ideas like that where we say, how can we develop these products with our clients? They really are client led. The demand is client led. We're solving a real life client problem.
Do those client-led issues tend to kind of come into awareness because a partner or whoever is dealing with the client starts to hear, oh, they're talking about this and somebody else, kind of the same thing? Or do you have some organized program out of BD or innovation or somewhere else that says, no, we're going to go out and proactively explore certain areas where we think there's a problem, but we don't know quite what it is.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. Us client partners are out talking to clients all the time. What's keeping you up at night? What problems have you got? Training our lawyers to be innovative, to think a little bit differently, rather than going, oh, can I give you a little tick box to resolve this problem? Can we help you? Actually thinking outside the box. Well, can we create a product with this that could be scaled, that they can use on their iPhones or on their laptops, that they can self-service, so once they've bought it, they don't need us again. It's set up, it's got a set of rules. The client partners are out there talking to the clients, saying, what problems have you got? And we then think pragmatically, innovatively, how can we help that solution? But we've got a big product and innovation team, and their role is to be out there talking to clients, thinking about ideas. So it's kind of then a top down and bottom up. It's got to be client led. It's not just us going, here's a tech tool that we think could help you. Because then the clients go, that's all well and good, but I've got it from that advisor over there. Or you might think that's a problem I've got, but I haven't really. It's really got to be client driven.
One of the things that I think is interesting about Gen AI, and this is overly simplistic, but if you look at all of law as sort of being about before and after, signing a contract, an event happens, whatever it is, there's before and after. I think the big opportunity actually is before. This product you're talking about sounds like it's like that. It's saying, what can we do that's really going to be deep and embedded in a client that's going to be useful to them? That's going to prevent the problem, not, once they've had the problem, how can we help them out?
Before and after the storm is how sometimes we refer to it. You always want your clients to come and talk to you before the storm. How can we proactively help you? What transformation advice might you need? But lots of clients, it's discretionary spend, isn't it? And, in days where, national insurance is going up and tax changes, lots of clients, that's one of the things that has to go, the discretionary spend. So as much as you'd love to do the proactive, invest that money and time in advance, many clients just don't have that luxury. And then unfortunately, that's when you end up during and in the storm where you're in crisis mode then, aren't you? And helping them get through that. So absolutely, you want to be there proactively, but it's that discretionary spend.
The process by which you ended up being the managing partner, and it sounded a bit different than at least some of the stories I've heard from law firms. Is there some of that you could share with us?
So John had been managing partner for 12 years. We achieved tremendous things under his leadership. But one of the things you realise is you have to keep succession front and centre. And that's not just even at managing partner level, that's with all of your senior management. It's with your real key client relationships. You have to be thinking about succession. It's not something you can do overnight. There's often a 2, 3, 4 year lead time. So John was thinking about succession a number of years in advance. So things like all of our equity partners went to Judge Business School at Cambridge University to, again, just kind of accelerate our strategic thinking, how we approach things. Fundamentally, we're trained and developed as lawyers, and you probably get to partner level and then does that training and development and continuation continue. So we've worked really closely and continue to work really closely with the business school at Cambridge. And towards the end of John's tenure, there was a process by which some of us applied for the role. And that was very much kind of thinking about almost kind of going back to maybe basics on strategy and kind of what risks, but therefore what opportunities have we got at Weightmans. And some of that is Weightmans specific, but some of that is legal sector. And then how you then bring that together into a strategy. So we already had our mission to be that top 30 law firm. We already had our purpose, see the possibility. That's then where I then evolved it into the vision, distinct from the mission, because I'm not sure you can have a top 30 as a vision rather than a mission. So, but then really thinking about the strategic priorities. So taking into account all the risks and opportunities Weightmans itself has, but also in the legal sector generally. What then should be the strategic priorities we focus on to achieve the long-term goals of growth in revenue, growth in profit, and achieving the mission. So I was elected in by the equity partners, and we had like a 6-month handover between me and John. John's still in the business. He works with me on strategic projects because he's got so much insight, experience, knows this business inside out.
I think sometimes that transition at the top can create winners and losers and, factions. And it sounds like the way you approached that was very much aimed not to do that.
Definitely. And I think as well, John was a corporate lawyer, as am I. And so as he transitioned earlier in his career from being kind of commercial director to being managing partner himself, he then had to look at, well, what was the succession for his client base? And so I would work with a lot of his clients. So whilst it may have been a 6-month handover in terms of the managing partner role, John and I had always worked really closely and collaboratively together since 2011 when we merged with Weightmans. And as I say, and that collaboration continues now because he has got such insight, experience, his strategic thinking, the strategy, etc. It's very much evolution, not revolution, because, we're doing well as a business and we've got a great platform on which to build.
Yeah. If we looked ahead to a time, some years in the future, are there one or two things you might point to that says, yeah, that's what we really want to be known for?
I mean, I think we're known now for being that great place to work. We've got a genuinely great culture that wants the best for its people and its clients. It's a place that gives opportunity to all. That's the whole point of See the Possibility. What I always say to people coming through, so I really encourage people everywhere to grab those opportunities, because that's certainly what I've done in my career. Just grab those opportunities, get rid of that imposter syndrome and grab the opportunity to see that possibility and do it. With that great culture, people know that they can come to work in Weightmans and be their authentic self. So if you're not authentic, it's just not sustainable. People see right through it. But I'd like to think as well, we are known for doing things a little bit differently. So, things like ESG, we want to be one of the UK's most sustainable law firms. We've just got our gold ranking with EcoVadis. We're in that top 5%. We've got an award-winning product and innovation team. Things like social mobility, I'm really passionate about. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. And that's, again, what I want Weightmans to be known for. We've got our first apprentice who's now qualified as a solicitor. She's been through all of the ranks and she's now qualified. That's so pleasing to see. We give things a try. We play with it. We pilot it. We experiment with it. Sometimes things don't work, but let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? I want us to be known as the firm that really did see the possibility. It wasn't just words. It was a purpose that resonated with the organisation. It was embedded in the organisation and we lived by it. We made things happen responsibly, but we kind of did what we said we would do. So
that goes back to integrity. We did what we said we were going to do.
Yeah, that's one of our values since the 1st of April. So again, the fact that that's now a core value for us, again, just speaks volumes, doesn't it?
You did mention opening up in Nottingham, but you haven't really talked about offices very much. If you think about the way you run the firm, are offices a big part of that? Or is it, no, we mostly sort of work through the service lines, the practice areas, with a bit of an overlay of sectors, or is it some other way?
The listeners won't be able to see this, but I've got my matrix. So we have the verticals, which are our practice areas. And, we have pretty much every practice area you can have. So corporate, commercial, real estate, employment, all the practice areas you would expect. Look, no structure is perfect, but that in itself led to kind of silos. And people, when they were going out and trying to grow the firm, thinking about it in very much a practice area focus. Whereas clients approach things very much from a sector lens, what's important to them. So we now overlay the practice areas with our sectors. It's a full matrix. The whole firm is part of the matrix. Every client is part of the matrix. Both of those are kind of national. Because again, what we find if we have national sectors and national practice areas, it stops people ring fencing work and opportunities. We always have a mantra of firm first. Everything we do is for the benefit of the firm. It enables that core value of collaboration to happen. It means then we have the best of all worlds.
Sounds like you're doing a good job of it.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like our listeners to know about you, about Weightmans, about life?
We're genuinely excited about our next chapter of growth and success at Weightmans. Last 6 months, there's a real buzz around the business. There was always a collaborative feel, but increasingly so at board level, equity partner level, really across the business. Things like opening in Nottingham, again, that's new and exciting and shows the commitment to growth. And I think the legal landscape is going to change dramatically over the next 5 years, particularly because of private equity coming into the market, which we haven't talked about today, but private equity coming into the market and AI and Gen AI. There's something that talks about the 5 success factors of a law firm. And what I always say to my EPs is agility, where you've got to be open-minded, you've got to have that real growth mindset, because if lawyers think they can do the law the way they've always done it, they'll get left behind. That's not what we're about at Weightmans. I try and make sure that's front and centre at all times. I love change, so I'm energized by all of this. Growth happens in the wider sense when you really push yourself out of your comfort zone. And that's what I try and do at Weightmans.
Our whole conversation is how joined up in your mind, and I'm sure in the things you say, and probably increasingly in the firm as a whole, how joined up all those bits are.
1,700 people need a bit of consistency. They need the golden thread. They need to know. And if a new sector emerges tomorrow, we'll embrace it. But overall, we really try, and we've got a very clear mission. We've got our purpose. We've got our vision. We know our strategic priorities.
Well, thank you for joining us to share that with us. I'll look forward perhaps at some point to hearing sort of the next few chapters of the story. That'd be really great. Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Purposeful Strategist. In addition to being available on our website, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, please do follow us and leave us a 5-star review. It helps others find the podcast. Thanks again, and join us soon for the next episode of The Purposeful Strategist.